wing is kind of more making a broader portion of it, but a good piece of the pie is a lot of left wing people, and there's even like 2% of Macron voters. And we covered it from the New York Times last week. I know we covered one. But yeah, people it shows you they're fed up, and it's kind of a piece. Everyone's got a little piece of the pie, but working people is a broader theme, regardless of your political allegiance. If you're a working person, you're very much hurt by this, and that's why you're probably, depending on the circumstances, out in the streets these past 2 Saturdays. So, yeah, there is anger and indignation that many French share, he said in a 13-minute pre-recorded speech Macron did from the Élysée, the presidential palace of France. Macron's words and planned actions framed an attempt by a politician regarded as aloof and imperious to connect with ordinary citizens in Europe's third-largest economy. The speech followed a month of turmoil in which movement known as the Yellow Vests rampaged through Paris and other French cities. The movement, which began as a revolt against a fuel tax increase, has morphed into an angry rebuke, as we know, of Mr. Macron and his government's failure to focus on what his critics call France's forgotten middle class. And have we heard that word anywhere recently? How about in Trump's inauguration speech? How about with Bill Clinton? How about with Bernie Sanders, who dabbled in it a little bit too? It's kind of the rhetoric that we see on both sides, that smart politicians, I'm not saying Bill Clinton or Donald Trump had an eye out for the working class, because, I mean, their policies very clearly show that they didn't, or poor, disadvantaged people. But still, I think it's very clear that we are seeing again and again that these people are, across the globe, not happy with their living conditions. And that's something that this action has seen come very much into clear light. That's why I find these protests really so interesting. Attempting to show really that he understood, Macron acknowledged that the anger of the couple who earn salaries that do not finish the month and who get up every day and come home late, which is really trying to understand their anger, feel their pain. He sympathized with a single mother, a widow, a divorcee, whose life is no longer worth living and has no hope. Macron recognized the anger, too, of the retired people of small means who have contributed all their lives and often help both parents and children and no longer make ends meet. In a rare admission of having fallen short, he said he took responsibility for not having responded more quickly, saying that he realized that people had the impression he had other priorities and was not concerned about their problems, which is not a good sign for a leader who's apparently not concerned about the problems of his own people. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting now to see if people believe this kind of flowery rhetoric. I really don't know. It's very rare. What I do know is it's going to take a long time. It's not going to happen overnight. Now he has like 60% approval rating. But these steps followed by real policy actions, another key point, real policy actions, that will make a big difference. It's going to go a long way into kind of sharing and making things better for Macron and hopefully making things stable in France. All right. Yeah, Macron said the details of his release steps would be announced by Prime Minister Edouard Philippe in Parliament on Tuesday, it's tomorrow, but there would be a €100, so $114 supplement to workers earning the monthly minimum wage starting in January. That taxes on overtime pay would be eliminated. Why was there taxes on overtime pay? Wow. And that retirees who are earning less than €2,000 would no longer be asked to pay a recent increase in Social Security taxes. Whether Macron's actions will ease the deep-seated resentment is unclear at best. Highly improbable at worst. But it's another one of these wait and see stories. What happens here? What will the response? Like the ball is in the court of the people. For a long time, the ball was in the court of Macron, but it is now in the court of the people. What is he going to do? What will happen? What will happen with him, and how will the people respond to these kind of plans? So criticisms came quickly from many of Macron's political opponents, who says his proposals fell far short of people's needs. More sobering for Macron could be the disappointment of many in the Yellow Vest movement, who said his proposals did not speak to their needs as well. Many of the Yellow Vest leaders did not like it, group, getting the word half measures thrown out. So again, things are not looking good. On dozens of Facebook groups dedicated to the movement that have buzzed over the past month, a majority of Yellow Vest protesters felt that it was too little too late. A number expressed dismay that he had not even mentioned the Yellow Vest movement by name. There are a lot of forgotten, and others who only have crumbs left. He's kidding us, said Jean-Jacques Brial, who's in the main Facebook group for the Gilets Jaunes group. When one listens to the Yellow Vest, one hears different demands, but there is more and more agreement that Emmanuel Macron should resign, says Thomas Snegeroff, a professor of political sciences at Sciences Po in Paris. I don't know what that is. The people allude to the French Revolution, saying, quote, "We may have to cut off the head of the king." Then when people start talking about the French Revolution in France, and it's about you really want to hightail it out of there, because we've covered this French Revolution on this network before. Check out Global History, and it is not generally a very good thing when they start alluding to the French Revolution. One of the bloodiest times, really, in history. So it's going to be very interesting. What are the demands of the people? I think it'd be very interesting to see some of that happen. But we will be looking into that. Yeah, so it's very, very interesting to see what is going to happen here with these people. And a lot at the same time, though, many people do not believe his departure would improve their situation, suggesting they are not sure themselves what would truly improve their lives. And I mean, again, when I'm, not an expert in the situation in France, but it seems that these people have not had it easy. And the fact that he is maybe itching towards some kind of change, some kind of policy, real policy substance issue, and it seems a little bit meager, like little raises, small raises, but something would be better than nothing, that's for sure. And I think, though, it should be very watched about its implementation on what effect it has on the French people, because that is going to be the most important thing. What do the French people think? The ball is in their court now. How do they respond? How do the majority of them respond? Not just the Gilets Jaunes, but the people in the end. All right, we head back to Washington now, where apparently nobody wants to be Donald Trump's chief of staff. So on Sunday, Donald Trump tweeted out saying, quote, "I'm in the process of interviewing some great people for the position of White House Chief of Staff. Fake news has been saying with certainty it was Nick Ayers, a spectacular person who will always be with our mega agenda. I'll be making a decision soon." So just namely dropping, the fake news thinks it's Nick Ayers. And then pretty much everyone knew he was thinking, I really, really want Nick Ayers. Apparently a lot of people in the White House actually didn't want Nick Ayers. And then what do you know? Thank you, at Real Donald Trump, at VP. And yeah, by the way, Nick Ayers was the chief of staff for the White House. For the vice president. And my great colleagues, it's been an honor to serve a nation at the White House. I will be departing at the end of the year, but will work with hashtag MAGA team to advance the cause. American flag, hashtag Georgia. So he's out. Pretty much what happened here is he thought he could be the chief of staff after, as we know, John Kelly resigned. That was something that we did kind of covered the morning after our show broke, or came out on Friday. John Kelly resigned. He was a guy who is going to have a very interesting legacy in history. That's for damn sure. And one of the things that I was really wondering about was that, who's going to be next? Apparently, it's down to Mark Meadows of the GOP. It's down to Mark Meadows, and it's down to I forget. There's one other name. Mark Meadows of the GOP and Mick Mulvaney of the Office of Management and Budget. I mean, they both seem incompetent, but they both seem competent. They both seem like they have brains in their heads, but they are both very, very, very sketchy people. So, Mark Meadows, Tea Party Republican, and OMB director Mick Mulvaney is a corporate vampire. Absolute corporate vampire. He went into the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau with the attempt to pretty much suck it dry, and he was acting head of that for a long time, and it was very rough. So now that we know all about that, Nick Ayers is out. and he will not be the chief of staff. We don't know who will be. And apparently a source close to Mick Mulvaney tells me he is, this is from Nancy Cook, who's a reporter, I'll give her a political reporter. A source close to Mulvaney tells me he's no longer interested in the chief of staff job. Mentioning the Lighthouse are sending out same signals. List of potential replacements for Kelly is shrinking by the hour. For some reason, nobody, even some of society's most repellent individuals, wants the objectively horrible job of being Donald Trump's chief of staff. Very strange. Of course, the headline here of is somewhat tongue-in-cheek. Someone will want the gig, some kind of ultra-loyal kind of guy who's also very power-hungry at the same time. Wait a minute. This is actually from, in the Splinter article, it could very well be Stephen Miller. He fits the description of the only type of person who would want to be the chief of staff for Donald Trump at this moment, because pretty much everyone that, like, every kind of guy, like, the people in the White House, the people around him, people around Trump, they all know, they all see what happens to his chief of staff, and it does not end well for them. They end up being tossed out. They end up being pretty much discarded, and they get stomped on repeatedly by Trump. They get yelled at. They get just brutalized by Trump just for trying to, like, bring some semblance of order to the White House. And the fact that anyone would want to step in that job desirably and say, yeah, this is a fun idea, like, is ludicrous. Or anyone who's actually, like, respectable. Stephen Miller, not very respected by very many people. All right. 2020 speculation heating up. Interesting article in Splinter today, which is pretty left-wing. We often, I guess, we use it on the show a lot. I think it's great. But Hamilton Nolan, who's writer there, actually has a piece that's saying, "Bernie, don't run," in all caps. So, yeah, it's very, very interesting. So, I want to break it down here. Since it's almost the end of 2018, we are well into the 2020 presidential campaign speculation season. Not the actual season, it's still speculation time. Though it is still too early to know very much, I do know one thing: Bernie, don't run. So that's the kind of thesis claim here. Why did so many people get behind Bernie Sanders in 2016? Besides the fact that he was the only candidate offering policy prescriptions that matched the scale of our nation's biggest problems, his appeal is rooted in the fact that he clearly believed in a set of principles. All very true. Very, very true. The part about policy and the part of this set of principles he'd been backing for years and years and years. Unlike the most nakedly ambitious presidential contenders, he seemed to actually be concerned with trying to solve the problems that people spoke about, including, above all, the growing inequality that underlies almost everything else. His campaign was a way to start a movement to improve the country. The movement was not in service of his own career. Very, very true. All very true stuff. Yeah, it's very, very unfortunate that he didn't win at that time, and he didn't. So here we are. He continues getting, there's nothing really that I disagree with so far. Here we are getting ready for the next election. This is, and by the way, I have not read this yet, so I just don't, I'm coming into this completely dry. I have no idea what's going to come out. So this is the third paragraph now, saying, okay, he didn't win. Fine. Here we are, getting ready for the next election. This, I would argue, is the most promising political landscape for the left in my lifetime. Things are so screwed up that people are really ready to try some wild stuff. And I think he's got a really good point about that, because you got Donald Trump, you got an economy that's kind of teetering on the edge. Things aren't really improving for a lot of people in the middle class. But, again, there is still some strong leftist sentiment out there, and the fact that, again, a strong anti-elite sentiment is a very good sign for someone like Bernie Sanders. Very, very, very true there. And I think it's very interesting that I'm reading. The main reason why I'm reading this article today is that I think it's important to actually get another left perspective for a lot of people listening. Not too many conservatives, but still, this could be interesting from a conservative point of view. But still, the fact that there are so many interesting things in this article, and it'd be very interesting to see from someone who's objectively a leftist why he doesn't think Bernie Sanders should run. So the point is, yeah, people are really ready to try some wild stuff. They tried Donald Trump. That obviously is and will still continue to be a disaster. Very true. Now the time is ripe for some left-wing solutions that mainstream pundits normally dismiss as being out of bounds. universal healthcare, free college, stronger regulation of Wall Street, forceful downward redistribution of wealth, a true Green New Deal. None of those things under our current climate are implausible now.